If you walked into this building in 1881, you might have thought it was just a theater. Music, laughter, people drinking. But what you wouldn't notice at first is that no one was really in control. Because beneath the stage, above the ceiling, and somewhere in the shadows, people were losing far more than money. And some of them never made it out alive. Welcome to the channel. If you enjoy real stories like this, the kind that sound unreal but actually happened, you can subscribe as a way of supporting. It helps more people discover stories like this. Now imagine this. A man steps inside for the first time. The doors swing shut behind him. The noise hits him instantly. Laughter. Music. Voices layered over each other. Nothing seems strange at first. But then he starts to notice things. A man at a poker table hasn't blinked in what feels like minutes. Another is sweating, gripping his cards too tightly. A woman above watches everything without speaking. And somewhere in the room, an argument begins. It starts low, barely noticeable. Then it sharpens. Voices rise. Chairs scrape. Hands move too fast. And then, a gunshot. The man flinches. He looks around, waiting for panic, waiting for someone to react. But no one does. The music continues. The dealer keeps dealing. Someone laughs. Because inside the birdcage theater, this wasn't unusual. It was routine. When it first opened, it wasn't meant to be this way. It was built to entertain. To bring something refined into a rough town. There were performances. Music. Dancers on stage. A place where people could forget how harsh life outside really was. But Tombstone was not a place that stayed calm for long. It was filled with miners chasing silver. Men chasing money. People willing to risk everything. And slowly, that energy began to take over the building. The shows became louder. The crowds became rougher. The nights stretched longer. Until eventually, there was no closing time at all. The doors stayed open. All day. All night. No pause. No reset. Just constant motion. Underneath the stage, something else was happening. A hidden casino. Dimly lit. Thick air. Heavy silence broken only by cards hitting the table. This was where the real tension lived. Not on the stage. Not at the bar. But here. Where money changed hands faster than people could think. There was one table in particular. A poker game that never stopped. Not for a day. Not for a week. But for nearly 8 years. Players came and went. Some left richer than they arrived. Others left with nothing. And some didn't leave at all. Because when the stakes rose, so did the pressure. And pressure inside that building didn't stay contained. It exploded. Arguments turned into threats. Threats turned into violence. And violence turned into something final. Gunshots became part of the sound. So common that eventually, no one reacted anymore. The walls began to change. Small marks at first. Then more. And more. Until bullet holes covered them. Each one a moment. A decision. A life altered in seconds. Above the main floor, there were small compartments. Tight spaces hanging over everything below. They called them cribs. From below, they looked like cages. Inside them, women watched the chaos unfold. Night after night. The same pattern repeating. Drinks. Games. Arguments. Violence. And still, no one stopped coming. Because there was something about that place. Something that pulled people in. The promise of winning. The thrill of risk. The feeling that anything could happen at any moment. And often, it did. One night, the energy felt different. Harder. Sharper. Like something was building beneath the surface. An argument started again. But this time, it didn't fade into the noise. It escalated quickly. Too quickly. Voices turned into shouting. Movement turned into struggle. And then, a blade appeared. It happened fast. Too fast for most to even understand. One moment someone was standing. The next, they were on the ground. Still. Unmoving. For a brief second, the room hesitated. As if everything might finally stop. As if this would be the moment things changed. But it didn't. The music returned. The cards continued. And life inside the building moved on. Like it always did. Because by then, that was the norm. When people later tried to count, the number was already disturbing. At least 26 people had died inside. Gunfights. Stabbings. Desperation turning inward. And yet, nothing truly changed. There was no authority stepping in. No real control. Just an understanding. If you entered, you accepted the risk. And still, they came. Night after night. Drawn in by something they couldn't explain. Or maybe didn't want to. Time passed. But inside, everything stayed the same. The same noise. The same tension. The same outcomes. Until something shifted. Not inside the building. But outside. The mines began to fail. Silver stopped flowing. Money slowed. Then disappeared. And just like that, the energy that kept the place alive started to fade. The crowds grew smaller. The noise softened. The music stopped. And eventually, for the first time in years, the doors closed. Silence filled the space. A silence that hadn't existed there for a long time. But what had already happened inside didn't just disappear. People who visit today describe something unusual. A heaviness. A feeling that the space is not empty. Some say they hear footsteps. Others claim they see movement. Shadows where nothing should be. And then there are those who feel watched. Not from one direction, but from everywhere. Above. Below. Around them. As if something remained. As if the past never really left. And maybe that's what makes this place different. Not just what happened there, but what stayed. Because places like this don't just hold memories. They absorb them. Every moment. Every decision. Every life that changed within those walls. Still there. In some form. So when people think about it now, they don't just see a theater. Or a saloon. Or a piece of history. They see something else. Something darker. Something that feels unfinished. And maybe that's the truth about places like this. They don't end when the doors close. If you made it this far, let me know your thoughts. Would you ever step into a place with a history like that? And if you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. It helps more people find these stories. Because there are many more. And some are far worse.